This is Fisherman's Wharf recently, and there is more to this story that we will detail later. But this bullshit is easily avoidable, and we will share how to avoid this. When traveling to San Francisco, we never stay near Fisherman's Wharf. But this weekend, we did. That was crazy. That has never happened to us at any of our stays in San Francisco. Wow. So they got an incredible art piece, and we got the ass end of it. What was all that?
They said to bring rave lights.
What lights?
Rave lights.
Rave lights.
Glow sticks.
Okay, we found the boat. So why don't we stay at Fisherman's Wharf? We don't do the touristy stuff. Also, all the hotels in the Fisherman's Wharf area are not high-rise hotels, typically topping out at 3 to 5 floors high, and we prefer the high-rise hotels in downtown where you can get these epic views of the cityscape and the bay. And also, Fisherman's Wharf are nowhere near our music venues. But on this particular weekend, we were taking a private boat trip out of the bay, out of Fisherman's Wharf. So we figured, let's stay in Fisherman's Wharf for this one weekend. Was it worth it? In this video, we will talk about where we did stay, along with a brief rundown of the hotels in the area, and some tips on parking at Fisherman's Wharf. And again, how to avoid this from happening to you. And we have a huge tip on how to save on parking and a couple under the radar spots that we visited. Welcome to Sippy Cup Adventures of Northern California. We are a travel channel mainly on travel in Northern California. So if you're looking to travel in Northern California, we hope we can be of help. We appreciate you stopping by. So what's important to us when booking a hotel in San Francisco? First, it must have valet parking. Our car always comes back in one piece. Secondly, there must be an on-site dining venue, preferably a nice restaurant. Thirdly, where the hotel is in relation to the music venue we normally go to. And obviously the price of the stay. So why is dining at the hotel important for us? If we're staying 2 nights, we typically like to spend one of the nights enjoying the hotel that we paid for. And also so we can capture more footage for you to make helpful videos when traveling to San Francisco. And what we found out with the hotels in Fisherman's Wharf area, if there is no dining at your hotel, a restaurant is just going to be right across the street. Also, why we get valet is typically we're staying in the downtown area, and trying to find parking is daunting with one-way streets, and it's just easier to get valet. But that doesn't necessarily need to happen in the Fisherman's Wharf area, because parking is easy to find. There's plenty of parking, and it's easy to navigate to. No one-way streets. It's easy, but we're going to have more on parking at Fisherman's Wharf in a little bit. But at this point of the video, we're going to look at some of the hotels in the Fisherman's Wharf area and why we didn't choose them and what we ultimately decided on. We start with Hotel Rio Plaza, which used to be the Sheraton, about $389 minimum, and valet parking is limited. It's apparently one of the top rated hotels in the area. Really good for kids because of its pool and its sizable suites. But we see the word kids and we're out.
No.
And next, right across the street from the Hotel Rio, is the Hotel Zephyr. And the Hotel Zephyr, I love outdoor spaces like this. Very modern, very chic. Well, we thought about staying here, but a friend stayed here recently and she said it just seemed a little worn out. So, that's up for us to find out.
That's cool.
So game room in there, they got games. Shuffleboard, pool, they're open 24/7. This courtyard, it closes, well, it doesn't close, the fire pit's shut off at 10:30.
So you heard me say that friends stayed here recently and were a bit disappointed. Is that fair for us to make a judgment off of one friend's statement? Probably not. The rooms are reportedly remodeled to nautical themes. For the room that we wanted, a premium waterfront king with balcony, runs about $336. And you see the price here, and there is also a resort fee of $30 or $35. Let's talk resort fees. They're not as bad as it sounds. Yeah, so again, let's talk resort fees. Now, I don't want to get too deep in the woods on this because it's, it's complicated and it may be an idea for another video. But I mentioned, that Hotel Zephyr had a fee of $35, and where we stayed, we had what was called a guest amenity fee, right? And these fees are typically around $35 and could be called resort fees, destination fees, or in the case of where we stayed, guest amenity fees. And these fees used to be hidden at the end. You would only see them at the end of your stay. And in 2023, the president called on Congress to pass what's called the Junk Fee Prevention Act. Junk Fee Prevention Act, yeah. So in July of 2024, let's see, the Senate Bill 478 and Assembly Bill 537 were enacted. And these fees now had to be displayed at the time of reservation. So these fees are no longer hidden, right? Again, not every hotel has them. You have to check if you're not a fan of them. But you can get your money back by using them as food and beverage credit. At your hotel, or the hotel we stayed at, we had bicycles if we wanted to use them as part of the guest amenity fees. You may get cable car tickets while I'm staying in San Francisco. So that's why the food and beverage credits that they may give you, it's nice to have a nice restaurant as opposed to some cheesy lounge that you're going to spend at. But anyways, that's a little bit on resort fees. Check your hotel. They have to be upfront with it. It's all part of the pricing. Next stop is the San Francisco Marriott at Fisherman's Wharf. The rooms range between $232 to $300, which is in our price range. There is valet, but they just lacked the dining options that we seek, so not for us. We moved to the Argonaut, an old brick building originally built in 1907. It's right across the street from the water, for the most part, if you get a high room, but we don't like the small windows, and beside that, it was between $419 to over $880 a night. Way too expensive. Now, the Courtyard by Marriott, along with the Holiday Inn and Express, one of the newest hotels on the block, both offer affordable prices between $200 to $250 per night. The Courtyard offers valet, but the Holiday Inn just has on-site parking. Neither have the dining that we prefer. Now, the Hotel Casa, we did not look into this hotel. I'm just learning of this. Prices average about $236, and the rooms look really nice, as most have a nice view, but there's no restaurant and no valet, but there is on-site parking. Next up is the Hyatt Centric, about $260 a night. They do have a nice restaurant called the Brick and Beam, and they do have valet parking. Our kind of stay, but we opted out. It may have been about availability. I'm not sure, but it looks pretty nice. Next up is the Kimpton Alton, an IHG hotel that has rooms for about $279 to $321. They have a highly regarded Filipino restaurant called Abaca. They do have valet. It's a pretty nice place. Just the kind of restaurant or cocktail bar that we'd enjoy. Not that I enjoy Filipino food, I don't know, but it looks like a nice place. Now, before we get to ultimately where we stayed, there's this final place, the Wharf Inn. Seemed a little wonky. Looks like an independent hotel and not a chain. There is parking on site, but no valet. And the pricing is complicated depending on your size of car and the time of day and where you booked from. You should always book direct, by the way. The prices were cheap as they do advertise as the affordable hotel at Fisherman's Wharf with rooms under $200. So after researching all these hotels, we ultimately chose Hotel Zoe. The price was in our budget, about $280 per night. But that was crazy. That has never happened to us at any of our stays in San Francisco. Wow. At other stays, we've been asked if we wanted to upgrade, but we've had to pay for it. They offered for the same price that we could upgrade the room.
So as we arrived, and the staff here, there's 3 of them, they're just so friendly, but they had genuine questions like, where do you stay before? Like, we typically stay in the downtown financial district. So they had a lot of different questions. It was all, we do a YouTube channel. We had our last sticker that we gave out, and then they kind of talked about this. Let's upgrade it. Because we just had a Queen Deluxe. Now we've got a King. That was the upgrade.
I don't know if we necessarily got the upgrade because I said at the beginning I wanted a high floor. There's only 4 floors and a view looking out on the neighborhood. Not that there's a whole bunch to see.
But they asked, do you care if you have a view or not? And you said inside, outside, I don't care. It doesn't really matter. So yes, we did get an upgrade. We got a king size bed versus a queen.
Yeah, I didn't feel like pursuing it because I was clear I wanted a neighborhood. And then they thought by upgrading to a king bed that was going to like balance out the fact that we're staring at that guy's ass.
He's got a nice ass.
Yeah, we're staring at that guy's butt.
I like big butts and I cannot lie.
Yeah, so the staff at Hotel Zoe were really nice, and they really wanted to upgrade us. They wanted to do something nice, and they thought by giving us a king bed that was upgrading us, we actually came down a floor from the 4th to the 3rd. And the scenery is not exactly what I wanted, like I said, staring into the sky's butt. But I didn't pursue it. They were very friendly, and I just went on with it.
We were out here last night in the courtyard. It was filled, but they closed it at 10. They shut it off. All right, everyone's got to go. I mean, they're nice about it, obviously. And it makes sense because you've got neighbors, right? So
Sound reverberates.
yeah. So this little courtyard area and the restaurant was closed at 10.
And we were very pleased with their on-site restaurant, Pescatore Trattoria. Really good Italian food. You get breakfast in the morning. Here I had a chicken parmesan, perfectly cooked. Patty had a braised rib. Pasta, delicious. Highly recommend. Let's talk parking. If you choose to drive to Fisherman's Wharf, that's okay. I mean, sometimes you just have to drive there, right? But some common sense rules first. Rule number 1, do not leave anything in your car, not even a sippy cup. Rule number 2, don't park on the street. Use a garage instead. More on that in a bit. But if you do find a spot on the street, see rule number 1. Rule number 3, do not store belongings under the seat. See rule number 1. Rule number 4, do not remove belongings in your car and put them in your trunk. You are likely being watched. See rule number 1. And rule number 5, don't overpay. If you're paying more than $5 an hour, then your best bet is to park in a garage. Rule number 6, seriously, do not leave your fur babies in the car. If you make a practice of this already, just end this video now. And before we move forward, I want to thank David Sterry and this video that he took of driving in the Fisherman's Wharf area. And this was in May of 2020. So pandemic was just started. Everything was shut down. That's why there's no cars on the street. Yes, so back to this video. Don't be a victim of this. Although this is recent footage from 2023 taken by this person as they followed these punks, crime overall is down in San Francisco, as criminals are actually getting prosecuted. But you see, these cars are all parked on the street. Yeah, this is in broad daylight with little regard to pedestrians, and they are about to hit a car where they rip the purse right out of the hands of a victim sitting in her car. She reaches in right out, and you can see her arm out the window, and then you could hear her just scream like, "You gotta be kidding me." Then he turns the corner and they go to hit or bip, as they say, another car, but they leave this one alone. So don't park on the street. So you need to get what's called off-street parking, and a few tips. First, if you buy something at a store or dine at a restaurant, ask if they validate parking. Secondly, verify the hours of the parking lot. Be sure you know the hours. And you can reserve parking in advance, especially needed on Saturdays. There are apps for that. If you don't know how to use the apps, ask your grandkids. Apps like way.com, you'll get perks like flexible cancellation, additional discounts, and prepaid parking passes. I'll give you a couple more apps here in a minute. And here is that huge tip taken straight off of way.com. Parking garages in downtown San Francisco are generally expensive. However, that's only when you go without a plan and drive into the first garage you see near your destination. Drive-up rates at downtown parking lots are obviously high to keep up with the demand. But even the most popular parking garages offer heavy discounts on online reservations. The key is to book before you go. Use a parking app or a website like way.com or Spot Hero to book parking in San Francisco, whether it's downtown or Fisherman's Wharf, in advance and get the lowest rates. About those apps, way.com is more of a car app, so it's more than just about parking. It's about finding car washes, gas, and EV chargers, as well as getting insurance and auto refinancing. Spot Hero is best used for booking parking ahead of your visit, and it's for garages and parking lots only. Spot Angels, started by 2 San Francisco residents, is best used for when you arrive, whether you choose a garage or a lot or street parking. In conclusion about parking, if you plan to stay the whole day, yes, street parking overall can be cheaper, but you subject yourself to getting broken into unless you don't have anything in your car, and you really have to read the parking signs. Parking in an off-site lot or garage can be more expensive unless you prepay ahead of time with an app, and your car will be safe. Now, I highly recommend this website, fishermanswharf.org. They talk a lot about parking and parking lot and garages, as well as all things Fisherman's Wharf. It was a great resource for this video. I'll leave a link in the description. As mentioned at the beginning of the video, we were in the city for a private boat trip with our music community, the Anjuna family.
I think we found the boat. I think we need a bigger boat.
This is 28 adult and 24, that's 52.
That's life jackets.
That's like one life jacket for everyone who's on there. And it was the best event ever. Honestly, I could have made an entire video with all the footage I have. In this first week of October, the temperatures were pushing 90 degrees in San Francisco, which is rare, but not unusual for October. I was in my shorts, shirts, and sandals the entire time. I never had to put my sweatshirt on. The boat trip was like from 5:30 to 9:30 p.m. The weather was amazing, just crazy. Visiting Fisherman's Wharf and Pier 39, taking a boat trip is quite the treat, and there are many companies hosting these boat trips, and I would suggest visiting the fishermanswharf.org website for detailed information. Now, this Angel Island boat tour passed us and heard the music and saw us party, and then they turned around to follow us for a bit. Hilarious. A few of the fun places we found, which could be classified as hidden gems, were the following. First was the Socialite Craft House and Kitchen on Jefferson Street. We shared a pizza there and enjoyed some cocktails. And outside is the shared courtyard we spoke of earlier, shared with that of the Hotel Zephyr. So you can go outside, have your cocktails, and enjoy a nice day. Then we found the Blue Mermaid, which is the restaurant attached to the Argonaut Hotel. Remember, we spoke of how expensive the Argonaut was earlier in the video. The old brick building. The food looks amazing, but we had already eaten.
Video to stir it.
Or purple. The drink or Patty's hair? The Blue Mermaid.
Then back to Fisherman's Wharf. Now, it was disappointing to see the closures of longtime tenants, Alioto's and the Fisherman's Grotto, which closed in the past few years after nearly a century in business due to the pandemic. And there's lawsuits involved and blaming the homeless and unsafe structural conditions, etc., etc.
Probably lost out to the Chowder Hut.
One of the older restaurants that is still around is Skoma's, which has been around since 1965. They have their own pier, Pier 47, where they have their own receiving dock and getting their seafood. I mean, this place is old school. Grab a Manhattan, and waiters are in their white jackets and framed photos of prominent folks whom have visited in the past. We just had a couple cocktails because, again, we had already eaten, but definitely a blast from the past. So it had been a long time since we visited Fisherman's Wharf and Pier 39. I mean, I can't even remember when we visited. Well, we did drive through the area a few years back with these go-kart tours, which I highly recommend. And here is our video on that tour. Just a note on that, these tours have been upgraded quite a bit, as well as the pricing since we did the video. So just be aware of that. But it's definitely a fun way to visit Fisherman's Wharf is the go-kart tour. So staying the weekend at Fisherman's Wharf, is it worth it? Yes. Obviously, the boat trip was the pinnacle of the weekend for us, and not many of you travelers would have this opportunity. I get it. And you can get much nicer rooms with incredible views for less money in Union Square, Soma, or the Financial District, but you have to spend one weekend at Fisherman's Wharf in your lifetime. Thank you for watching Sippy Cup Adventures of Northern California. We hope we are of help. If you're planning on visiting Pier 39 or Fisherman's Wharf, we'll see you next time.